In the air to left. It's deep. It is gone. Chris Bryant, his first home run in Cincinnati in 3 seasons, and the Cubs have the lead.
Santos. Cubs bats saved John Lester, and geez, I was just really excited to talk about the Sox bats because they ended up failing Lucas Giolito today. In the Bears wrap up the Bourbonnais portion of training camp, we'll discuss all of that tonight here on The Final Word. Joining me on is my colleague, my Fox 32 colleague, Mitch Robinson, and making her first appearance on The Final Word, legendary Chicago sports writer, author, and now you're a faculty member, right?
I am.
At Northwestern.
I like legendary better.
You like legendary better.
Legendary, yeah.
Well,
Northwestern, yep.
Congratulations and welcome, Melissa Isaacson.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
What was the whole, I saw that you're making kind of the press gamut. You've been all over the place.
I know, it's almost embarrassing, but not quite.
No. What's been more fun, the radio, the TV? What have you liked the best?
Well, I gotta say TV right now. No, except the whole, you know, yeah, the whole makeup thing is very, and the sleeveless. Every time I do something, I have a friend like, no, don't do that.
I was gonna go sleeveless tonight too.
Yeah, Mitch was fine on the makeup.
I do go with a lot of makeup.
Well, we're going to talk about more about your book in just a few minutes. Melissa's got a new one coming out, available this Tuesday. It's called State, A Team, a Triumph, and a Transformation. It's her memoir of playing on the 1979 Niles West girls basketball team that won the state championship. Okay, so is it safe to say that you would absolutely wipe the floor with Mitch in a game of horse?
That's really harsh.
Wasn't it?
Now, serving me up. Really, yeah.
I would say you probably would wipe the floor. My kids have seen me play. It's not pretty.
I mean, I think I was outstanding.
Right.
But, you know, I was really all pass, though. All D, all pass.
Point guard.
All defense and softball. Yeah.
Exactly. We probably had the same upbringing.
But I like to think, yeah.
All right, well, we're going to talk about some baseball first. Cubs, they lost last night, combined with the Brewers and the Cardinals' wins, means that the Cubs' division lead was only a game and a half leading into today's game in Cincinnati. So the Cubs looking for a split of the 4-game series, leaning on the struggling John Lester. He looked okay early, but the Reds got to him in the third. Joey Votto rips one past Anthony Rizzo into the right field corner. The double scores Nick Senzel. Reds added another, had a 2-0 lead after 2 innings. Reds add on Eugenio Suarez with a solo blast to right center. Third straight game he is homered. Cubs trailed 3-0, but the Cubs bats finally woke up in the 6th. Javier Baez doubled off the wall and left. That scored Jason Hayward, made it 3-1. 7th inning, Tony Kemp grounds out to first. That scored Ian Happ to make it 3-2. So Cubs with 2 men on in the 7th, and Chris Bryant cleared the bases. A 3-run shot, right? His 23rd, first in Cincinnati in 3 seasons. Put the Cubs up 5-3. Then in the 8th, Ian Happ with a blast of his own. His 4th, that made it 6-3. Cubs bullpen through 4 scoreless innings. Pedro Strop gets the save. Thank goodness, right? I know everyone gets a little nervous now when he's on the mound. Cubs win 6-3. St. Louis and Milwaukee both lost. So the Cubs lead the division by 2 games. So here's today's Save Big Money at Menards Cubs notebook. John Lester not having his best August so far. He was just okay today, but in 3 starts this month, he's 0-2. Then he had today's no decision. He's allowed 19 runs, 17 earned, 24 hits in 14 innings pitched.
That's a weak link.
Yeah, he's walked 6, struck out 19. Okay, but today he dropped his August ERA from 14 to 10.93. Still not good. All right, we're going to talk more Lester in just a few minutes. Let's get to the Sox, because I've been very anxious to get to them. White Sox hosting the A's on Harold Baines Day. Harold and his granddaughter throwing out the first pitch to his son. Sox struggling to get any offense going. Got 2 men on, nobody out in the 2nd. Gilmer Sanchez flies to right. Both runners tagged. The throw to 3rd is cut off. Matt Skoll is gunned down to complete the double play. 4th inning. This could have been a huge play, but Matt Chapman deep to right off Lucas Giolito. Watch John Jay. He gets a glove on it, kept it in the park for a double. Unfortunately, next batter is Matt Olson. He crushes a 2-run homer. Folks, That was the only 2 runs of the game. Giolito was brilliant in defeat. He struck out a career-high 13, including 5 straight in the 5th and 6th innings, but it wasn't enough. Sox managed only 5 hits, get shut out for the 2nd time this weekend by the A's. 2-0 is the final. So let's get back to the Cubs and John Lester. He wasn't great today. You know, I would say he was okay. We saw the numbers for his last 3 starts. So let me ask you guys this. A, should Cubs fans be concerned? And B, can the Cubs be successful in the postseason if John Lester is not his usual dominant self?
Okay, I'm going to be the mother. I'm
Okay.
going to say it's all going to be okay. It'll be fine. He's still the veteran presence. It made me a little nervous when he called himself the weakest link, but I think he was trying to light a little fire under the young guys.
Sure.
You know, kind of say, it's up to you. He's still, you know, look, he rises to the occasion in the playoffs like good veterans do.
Right.
Do they need him? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I kind of feel like he's going to be there for him. I think the numbers are skewed. The bad outings have been really bad. Am I wrong?
No.
But it's kind of fatigue, too, at this point, right? We're in August.
Right.
And here's the thing. We've seen this in the past with Lester, too. He goes through a slump somewhere in the middle of the season where he gets that dead arm or dead legs, and he goes on a rough patch for a few. He's always been able to pick it up down the stretch. 5 innings won't get it done. He needs to pitch a little deeper into the games for them, and he needs, this is it. So you've seen today, okay, he's decent, but give him now the next inning, he has to take that next step up, and he has to start pulling himself out of it. They look to him as their leader on that team, as much as they do Kyle Hendricks, I think.
Right. Okay, so talking about somebody who is rising to the occasion, Nick Castellanos continues to impress. Now 11 games with the Cubs. He is hitting .370, 6 doubles, 4 homers, 6 RBI. Quite an addition.
Yeah, not a bad
would
pickup.
appear, right, for the Cubs. I mean, is this what they needed?
Yeah, I mean, I love that Madden quote, right, reminding us what hunger looks like. I mean, and it's true. I mean, you need that in the playoffs. You need the little spark. He seems to, you know, do well against right-handed and left-handed pitching. I love him. I mean, he stretches singles into doubles. He does everything you thought he would do.
There are guys around the league that were picked up right before the deadline that were not doing so well with their current teams, and on their new teams are starting to light it up. As Asdrubal Cabrera let go by the Texas Rangers, he wins a game today against the Mets. You have guys around the league all stepping up and now getting hot. And so it's kind of veterans. If he can carry on like this and he has the power, he's a great addition to have in the outfield, and you got to ride him now.
All right, so earlier today, Joe Maddon talked about his future. He is optimistic about returning to the Cubs, but said wins and losses will not determine his fate. But should they? Should wins and losses determine his fate? Because I'm sorry, if they don't do well in the postseason, I don't know that he's going to be here.
So he's gotten really dumb then in 3 years. Is that it? I mean, you know, I have a problem with that. I mean, this is a guy, obviously, we were so in love with. They wanted him so badly. And, you know, there's ups and downs. It's hard to win. It's hard to win a World Series. I feel like he's got the perfect personality. It's just styles change with players, and can he roll with it? I think he took the high road early in the season when they said, you know, when they didn't give him the extension, or offer an extension rather. And I, you know, he's a classy guy. He's he likes to tinker. You know, there's always going to be something to pick on about him. But
here's what I think about him right now. He's a master negotiator. He doesn't care if he's here next year, because if they don't extend him,
someone will.
There's going to be 5 teams vying for him, and he's going to get his money. So it doesn't matter. There's no pressure for him.
Kind of cynical.
I am. I grew up in New York.
That's why you got the Mets reference in.
Yeah.
All right, let's switch to the Sox. Today was the 5th time the Sox have been shut out since the All-Star break. They have lost 16 games in which they have scored 2 runs or less. What is wrong with the Sox offense? Okay, they've been shut out 10 total times this season. I know Tim Anderson missed some time. Yoan Moncada, he hasn't played, but come on.
So you've had some individual great stories with guys like Tim Anderson who were hot, and McCann who was hot and all. But when you look at the numbers that they look, they're 2nd worst in the American League in slugging, on base, and runs. They're 3rd from the bottom in home runs and the 4th highest in striking out. And dead last in extra base hits. And here's the biggest one. Minnesota leads the American League in extra base hits. How big big do you think the differential is between the two?
What is it?
110 games.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
170, sorry. 477 to 307. They don't hit for power. They don't hit for extra base hits. They're not a team made to generate sustained offense.
The McCanns and the Abreu's have tailed off, but yeah, there's too many automatic outs in this lineup. You know, that's all it is. I mean, 3 runs, I think, this weekend in 27 innings. That is not good.
Nope.
You want to bring guys home, too, when they're on the base. On the positive side, let's get back to last night. Ronaldo Lopez, 6 shutout innings. He is 3-2 in his last 7 starts, a 3.12 ERA, down more than 2 runs from earlier in the season. I think this is what the Sox have been wanting, but is it true? Would you agree that he and Giolito are the foundation of this future Sox pitching staff?
I do. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Lopez, at one time he had like the worst ERA. I mean, I know that's not the whole measure, but...
No, it's not. And when you look at it, I mean, the things he's done is 3rd fewest now in runs and 2nd fewest earned runs he's allowed. So Lopez, if guys are getting on base, he's leaving them out there. Between him and Giolito, if he can continue to improve and Giolito stays with it, why can't you have those 2 guys as a cornerstone?
Right. I mean, that was the whole goal. That was the whole premise. And now we're starting to see Giolito necessarily hasn't been that great since the All-Star break, but he's going to bounce back, right? We're just getting started here on The Final Word. Today was the final training camp practice in Bourbonnais. The Bears head back to Hallis Hall, but the coaches are not happy. Shea Pepler was there, and we'll explain what happened next. If you're a fan of The Final Word or our Bears shows, you need to be following us on Twitter. Just check us out at Fox Kickoff. You can also follow me. I'm at Sierra Santos. Mitch is MDiggityDog. And Melissa is at MK Isaacson. That's MKISAACSON.
Thank you
so that you get it right.
That was outstanding of you.
Yeah. We want to make sure you get all the follows, right?
Nobody's ever asked me how to spell it.
All right, so Melissa, we mentioned you got a book coming out this week. It's called State, A Team, a Triumph, and a Transformation. It's her memoir of playing on the 1979 Niles West girls basketball team that won the state championships. But this is a much bigger story than just a state championship. This is really about the infancy of competitive women's basketball. And in this country, what was it like writing this memoir for you?
Well, it took 15 years, okay? So I wrote another book in between writing this book. That's how long it took. Started with a column. When I hear memoir, I'm like, really? It sounds so pompous, doesn't it? I mean, who do I think I am?
Important, not pompous.
No, it sounds good because it's your own reflective, it's your own insight, right?
It began as a basketball story, and it did become more of a memoir because I think that's what the story was, and it was how our lives were really forever altered by the experience. Things that I never knew as a kid, that you just don't know what's going on swirling around you, that I learned in the reporting as an adult. Just incredible, you know, difficulties and challenges that my teammates and I were going through behind closed doors, right? You didn't talk about that then. What's going, you know, what the other families, what's happening. And basketball saved us. Basketball was not just sort of therapy for us, but it literally gave us self-esteem, and it gave us confidence, and it taught us about strength and competitiveness and toughness and things that girls just weren't encouraged to have.
Sure.
And really defined who we would become. And so it's much more of a life kind of book, funny too, but then you know, strictly a basketball book.
So Title IX changed everything for women's sports, but as we saw with the U.S. women's soccer team, the playing field, it's still not equal, even 40 years later. So how does that ever get corrected?
I think it will. I think soccer is going to have equal pay. It took a while for Venus Williams to convince, you know, Wimbledon in 2007 to get equal prize money for women. It's small incremental changes. There are 9 assistant NBA basketball coaches.
Yep.
But there's still like 10% Division I women athletic directors. There's a very tiny little, there's no GMs, obviously, no head coaches in men's professional sports, obviously. There's, you know, Fortune 500, you see women, but a teeny little percentage. But you do see the women that are top executives played competitive sports. And so I do have hope. You know, if you would have asked me in 1979, like, well, you know, hundreds of thousands of people will be cheering on women in a soccer stadium, I'd be like, well, yeah, of course. I mean, we had very high expectations. But then they're chanting for equal pay. I think even as a kid, I would have said, like, really? Still? Are you kidding?
Right.
You know?
But they're in court, and they should get it. They have the numbers to back it up. That
yeah,
they
absolutely.
They are a driving force in soccer.
It's not a debate. Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
Well, the book is called State. It will be available Tuesday at bookstores everywhere and on your favorite online site. So let's change some gears. Let's talk a little bit of football. The Bourbonnais portion of Bears training camp has come to an end. The team returns to Hallis Hall for the rest of training camp starting Tuesday. Shea Pepler was with the team this morning as they said goodbye to Bourbonnais for another year.
The Bears said goodbye to their dorm rooms and Bourbonnais on Sunday, but training camp didn't exactly end on the highest of notes. Frustration from the coaching staff caused tempers to flare. Still, Matt Nagy believed his team responded to the intensity as they should.
Just some, again, mental exhaustion, I think, right now from the guys in regards to getting in and out of the huddle. Kind of normal, but we expect, you know, a little bit better at times. So I'm going to always revert back to when you have high character people, they can handle that. If you have a bunch of bad people or turds, they don't, and we don't have turds on this team.
No turds. Good to know. In the kicking battle, the competition is revving up, and at camp on Sunday, Fry and PINEIRO say they feel the heat.
That's what you know going into any situation, whether you're, you know, a 10-year veteran. You know, if you don't perform, you know, teams are going to look elsewhere. You know, you're not just competing against the guy here. You are competing. We've known that for the whole time.
I'm not just competing against Elliott. Like, yeah, let's say I miss one, he misses one. Like, we're competing against everybody else in the league. So, yeah.
We'll have one more game at home. The other two will be on turf. So just competing, and then we're going to have to make that decision as to where we're at and what we want to do with them, it's only one preseason game, so I want to wait a little bit.
Anthony Miller went down with an injury on Saturday and was not at practice on Sunday. Matt Nagy said it is an ankle sprain, and he does not anticipate Miller having to miss Week 1 against the Packers, so that is some good news. The Bears return to Hallis Hall for practice on Tuesday. With the Bears in Bourbonnais, I'm Shea Pepler, Fox 32 Sports.
All right, thanks, Shay. Let's talk about the kickers. There were reports this morning that 2 NFC North teams were interested in the pursuit of Ravens kicker Corey Vevick, but this afternoon he was traded to the Vikings for a 5th-round pick next season. So with no changes, how do you handicap the kickers after one game?
After one game, nothing that made me so happy. Yes, you had a couple of kicks that were okay. You had a couple misses, but I don't see anything that you could depend on. If you're saying it's Week 1 against the Packers and we're in the 4th quarter and you got to win it, am I happy with either one of these guys yet? No. I will give them a couple more weeks, but I would not be surprised if there is a veteran available that someone will be in here if someone does not start lighting it up.
Yeah, this will not be my mother's speech saying everything will be fine.
Right.
And I'm going to harken back to the old days because that's what I'm best at. And kickers are crazy, okay? They're nuts. And I heard Dave Wanstead say the other day that, you know, he's talking about kickers, what they're thinking, and he was being all understanding. And I'm like, what? You hated them. All coaches can't figure them out. You know, they go to Soldier Field, and should they practice in the swirling winds? No. You're either consistent or you're not, though. You can't predict the winds. You can't. You just have to be a cool customer. Robbie Gould did not have the strongest leg, but he was just a cool customer. He was just a very confident guy when it came to kicking, and he was. You're not going to find a Robbie Gould around every corner.
No, you're not going to find the Bears' all-time leading scorer around any corner. Right. So, as Shay mentioned, Matt Nagy downplayed the Anthony Miller injury, saying that he's going to be ready for Green Bay. How concerned should we be about Miller's ankle?
I mean, ankles are one of those weird things that kind of fall under the radar because you think like knees, ooh, but ankles can be tricky and they can keep you out a long time. However, this is a guy who obviously played with a dislocated shoulder for most of the season. If you could do that, I have to think that he's going to do everything he can to be ready for Week 1. I'd be surprised.
And that's the one thing you brought. I'm glad you brought up the shoulder. He was just saying he's starting to really feel confident and good. This weekend, I was there Saturday before he got injured because he could push off and use his hands without fear that his shoulder's going to pop. Now this happens. I don't think he will not play it down in another preseason game because Matt Nagy operates that way. Trey Burton won't. Anybody who has a chance of getting hurt will not play it down in a preseason game. I hope he's ready, but an ankle injury can last months if it's not addressed and not allowed to heal fully.
Luckily, they do have a deep receiving core, so it shouldn't.
Great core.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not quite done with the Bears. After a quick timeout, what are your early grades on David Montgomery?
Love him.
He had an impressive debut. Hey, save it for the next segment.
I'm sorry, I love him.
Don't get too excited.
He's good.
Always good stuff.
All right, well, what's his role going to be come September 5th? We're going to talk about that. And should there be television coverage of Little League World Series regional games leading up to Williamsburg? Well, I say no way. Am I nuts?
Well, for other reasons.
Find out in just a few minutes. Don't forget to join us Friday for the Bears' second preseason game against the Giants. Our pregame coverage will begin at 6. Kickoff is at 6:30 on the official home of the Bears, Fox 32 Chicago. Welcome back to The Final Word. Mitch Robinson and Melissa Isaacson joining me. All right, so let's go back to Thursday night. David Montgomery with a great debut. What did you guys think? Is he a threat to be a starter against the Packers?
I mean, it's a little small sample size, okay? I hate to poo-poo the whole excitement, and I know Nagy said the same thing after he was the one who built him up. Then he was like, let's be careful.
Temper the excitement.
But, you know, let's be honest. The guy bounced outside. That was great. All of a sudden, you show a habit to bouncing outside too much, and then it becomes, you know, something bad. So let's calm down with the bouncing outside. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
You know, it's great, but yeah, I don't see him starting. No.
Is he going to start opening night?
I'm with Melissa. I mean, he has potential. If he keeps improving over the next couple of weeks, he has a potential. They love Mike Davis. He's a veteran. I think he gets the ball first.
Agree.
A guy you trust, who's been in the trenches in something as big as an opening night against your rival in the 100th year. I think Mike Davis gets the start.
All right, so Bears struggling at tight end. Local guy Ian Bunting from Hinsdale Central High School didn't hurt himself with his performance Thursday night. 3 catches for 77 yards, the longest one being 45. Could he be a sleeper to make this team?
I mean, practice squad for sure if he can clear waivers. I mean, he's got the big giant hands, right? Is that the theme of
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the interview with Lou Canellis. He's a big dude.
And Nagy admittedly likes him a lot.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, what he cited. He said there are 3 false starts, that you got to clean that right up, and he has to work on his blocking. You know, you come in the league, that's usually the hardest thing for these kids is to block, especially in that offense where you're blocking so many different targets. But he's got a chance to stick with them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, one last question to get to quickly. In Dan Wiederer's story today in the Tribune, Khalil Mack was quoted as saying, "You've got to win. We've got to win now."
Good.
Is it a good feeling that the Bears are feeling the heat a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's always a sense of urgency, especially, I mean, the Bears have a smaller window than the Cubs, you know, I mean, with salary cap and injuries and everything else. You got to, you know, there's no championship team I've ever been around, and I have been around some that don't feel that sense of urgency. I don't care how good they are.
Last year they were freakishly healthy.
Yep.
And how often does that just not happen?
Never. It never happens.
So, yeah, you win now, and hopefully you stay healthy enough.
All right, well, coming up after the break, we're going to find out if I am nuts or not nuts. The BMW Championship starts this week at Medina. I say Medina should host a PGA Tour every year. Am I nuts? Find out after the break. Time to find out if I am nuts or not nuts. I've got a bunch of sports thoughts for you. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right. I think the Cubs bullpen will keep them from winning the World Series.
Not nuts, I agree. I still iffy on them. Today was great, but I need to see a longer track record.
Agree.
All right, Bill Walton doing a White Sox game with Jason Benetti is must-see television.
Nuts.
Oh, God, thank you.
I mean,
Did you catch the preview?
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't
It
care.
was insane.
Bill Walton should never do a broadcast of any sort again. Never.
Yeah.
Can't stand him.
Yeah.
All right, Medina Country Club hosting the BMW Championship this week should host a PGA event every year.
Why Medina? I don't get it.
There's a lot of nice courses.
Yeah, there are a lot of nice ones.
And that one is one of them.
I mean, Chicago should have, Chicago, that's good, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
we'll say
agree?
Chicago should host a major
Okay, fair
event.
enough. I like that too. Okay, so I don't like seeing the Little League World Series regional games being televised. The semifinals and finals are plenty. Am I nuts?
Yeah, because why? Because you're worried about their emotional well-being and they're boring. I don't get it.
Well, because we've got stuff like the Cornhole Championships also running. I mean, come on. There's WNBA games that we could be watching.
I don't go for the like, oh, it's too much TV because the kids are emotionally. I have kids, I don't care, whatever. They cry, and like some kids will cry when you're in the backyard.
Kids are bigger than me.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? They can handle TV.
Agents. Yeah, they're fine.
Okay, if we are only going to see backups and bottom of the roster guys playing in the NFL preseason games, I'm fine with it being 2 preseason games and an 18-game regular season.
But don't they have to sit out 2 games, though? I don't like that. Did I miss that?
I'm not. I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's nuts. I say let's make them 18 regular season games, but expand the roster.
All right, I predict the new pass interference challenge.
Just make them try in the preseason. How about that?
Well, no, that's what I mean. It's not even fun to watch them.
Yeah, it used to be kind of sort of fun.
No,
not
it's
really.
not fun.
No, it's never fun. You're right.
All right, I predict the new pass interference challenge flag will have us pulling our hair out by week 2.
Not nuts.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is too much.
Too much.
Yep.
All right, guys.
That was good.
We are going to...
I don't know what we discovered, but that was good.
Then I'm not nuts.
Oh, sure.
Except for Medina and me. Okay, we are going to wrap up the final word in just a few. Hang with us. All right, shout out to Melissa for joining us. And don't forget to buy her book, State. It's available everywhere when?
Tuesday.
I'm
going to be standing outside bookstores. I'm just going to go bookstore.
She'll be signing him. She'll be signing him. Get her autograph. All right, that is it. We are out of here. Our next news is tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. Inside the Bears is next. Thank you for watching.
Perfect. Look at you.